Okay, so as we get ready to begin our first pattern using the increasing and decreasing double crochet stitches that we taught you in the sort of pre-pattern video, I want to return to the idea of grounding. So before we get ready to do our project, I want to do the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. So in this moment, 5 things that I can see is the rising sunlight outside of my window, because it's been really cloudy and dark all day, and it looks like the clouds just lifted, even if just for a moment. I can see to the left side of my neighbor's rooftop line is just gray, dark clouds, and to the right is beautiful blue sky. I can see the bright orangey yellow color of the yarn. I can see patches of dirt and grass in my backyard. I can see where I forgot to change the calendar on my desk calendar today. So just becoming aware of things in my sense of vision that I wasn't aware of before. Things that I can hear birds chirping in the distance. I can hear the very quiet hum of my computer. I hear what maybe sound like an airplane in the distance. And I can barely make out the sound of rustling of what I presume is my husband in the next room, rustling papers or something. So 3 things that I can feel with my sense of touch, again, is the smooth, cool temperature of the desk, the kind of rough texture of this yarn. This is a worsted weight cake yarn. It's not super silky or anything like that, but it is soft. And I can feel the pressure of the chair beneath me. I take a deep breath through my nose. I can feel the cool air going in through my nostrils, and the warm air coming out. And I can kind of faintly smell the hand sanitizer that I used not too long ago. And finally, with my sense of taste, I'm aware of being slightly thirsty and maybe need some water after this. So this is a nice easy grounding technique that you can do. Like crochet and other fiber arts, grounding helps you get out of your head and into your body, and it helps turn off some of those ruminating thoughts that we all may be kind of chewing over. Okay, so we're going to start our first pattern, and this pattern is written by Jess at makeanddocrew.com. This is not a sponsored ad or anything like that, but I really like her crochet website, and I learn a lot from her, and she does a lot of free content as well. So that's where this pattern comes from. It is called the Desert Winds Scarf, and so if you want to Google it and learn how to read patterns, you can go to her website at makeanddocrew.com and search the Desert Winds Scarf. This will require you to alternate the pattern every other row. So once you get the hang of it, it will go very quickly, and it will allow for that repetitive movement, which again can provide a lot of healing and help increase your focus and decrease that sort of restless feeling that we are all kind of struggling with during the time of coronavirus. So once you get the hang of it, it will go a lot faster. So if it seems kind of clunky at first, I encourage you to be mindful of your experiences and notice what emotions come up with you. Maybe take a step back and ground yourself if you're getting really frustrated. But if you can push through and kind of get the repetitiveness of it, I think you will find it to be an enjoyable pattern. So essentially what we're going to create is a very long triangle. So it's going to be flat on the top, and then it's going to kind of come to a V at the bottom, and that's something you can kind of wrap around your shoulders. So this is a nice airy lightweight scarf, and the colors that I'm using I think are appropriate for springtime. So it's a nice sort of end of winter, early summer item that you can wear. So that's another thing that I love about crochet, is that, you know, not only do I get the healing effects of the repetitive movement, do I get the cognitive benefits, decreasing rumination and increasing focus, but you know, I get to wear what I make, so that's great. So we're going to start with a slip knot. So we're going to create that circle, bring our hands in behind the circle, grab the yarn that's still attached to the ball and pull it through the circle. And as we do that, we're going to form a slip knot. I'm going to put my hook in, and then I'm going to pull the strand of yarn that's still attached to the ball to tighten that slip knot. And, you know, not too tight. Again, we want this to be a nice, airy, light shawl, and so we want there to be lots and lots of space. When it's really tight, that's when you get that nice, warm winter kind of scarf, but that's not what we're going for today. So we're going to start by chaining 9, and to do so, again, remember I like to hold my yarn that's still attached to the ball over my index finger and between my middle finger, just so I can hold some tension there. And then to hold my loop on my hook steady, I'll kind of stabilize that with my middle finger and thumb. So this is kind of what it ends up looking like. So we're going to start by chaining 9. So remember to chain. You pass your hook over the yarn, under and back around. So that's called a yarn over. And to pull that through, I'm going to twist my hook slightly and pull it through the loop. That's called a chain in this case, because it's started with one loop on the hook and we just sort of pulled that through. So that's our chain. Yarn over, pull through. There's 2 chains. Yarn over, pull through, 3 chains. And you may need to let go and move your base, you know, from the slip knot up to the part of the work that's closest to your hook, and that's okay, just to, again, keep it stable. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, so to begin, we've done our chain of 9. Let's see if you can kind of see that. And on our first round, we're going to double crochet into the 6th chain from the hook. So we're going to count. Let me get a little needle that I can point with. A littler one than that. Okay, so here's a pointing needle, or hook. So here's the first chain from the hook, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So right there, I'm just going to kind of mark it so you can kind of see, right, that's where we're going to insert our hook. We're going to double crochet into that, so remember we have to yarn over first. Just put this over here for later. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over like I'm going to start any double crochet. I'm going to insert my hook into that 6th chain away from the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. And I'm going to kind of pull here just to tighten that a little and make it real clear where the 3 loops on the hook are. So now I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 2, just like any normal double crochet, and yarn over and pull through the second 2. Okay, so now we are going to chain 1 and skip 1. So what that means is I'm going to chain, and I'm not going to crochet into the next space like I normally would. Like if I was not skipping 1, this is the next stitch that my hook would go into. But it says chain 1 and skip 1. So we've chained 1 and we're going to skip this one. That means our hook is now going to go into this stitch. So we're going to double crochet into that one. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook there, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And then our next stitch again is another double crochet into the very next stitch. Okay, so this is our first row of our Desert Winds scarf. Now I'm going to introduce you to some terminology. This space right here, that's this right here that's created by the chain that we make, we're going to refer to that as the turning chain or the chain space. So this is technically the turning chain, and this is the chain space. So we're going to be crocheting into this space a lot as we move forward. So instead of putting our hook underneath the front loop like we normally would, I don't know if you can see what I'm pointing at, underneath the front loop, we're going to be putting our hook into the chain space. We're also going to be putting our hook into the space created when we skip a chain. So we're going to be doing a lot of these spaces instead of what we would normally do, which are those spaces. Hope that'll start to make sense as we get moving. If you find yourself feeling frustrated, remember, just observe those emotions that are coming up, the urges that go with that, and try to be non-judgmental about those experiences as you observe them. Okay, so at the beginning of every row for this whole scarf, we're going to chain 4. So I need to chain 4 and turn my work. So now what we're going to do is skip these first 2 double crochets right here that we just made, and I'm going to insert my hook into this space between them. So I need to do a double crochet into the first chain space. That's what this is called, the space that's created by that chain right there between stitches. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the chain space, pull up a loop. Now that I've got those 3 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So now I've double crocheted into the chain space. Okay. Now I need to chain 1 again, and I'm going to skip this double crochet, and I'm going to put a double crochet into the turning chain space. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook, draw up a loop, again pull the kind of tighten just to give me some stabilization here, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay. Now I need to do another chain, and I need to do 2 double crochets to finish off this increasing row. So these 2 double crochets is what is going to make your scarf get wider and not just longer. Okay, so that's like the increase that we did in the demonstration video where we put 2 double crochets at the end of the row. So let's take a second and just kind of understand what we're doing here. We've created another turning chain space right here, and we've put a double crochet followed by a chain into every space. So double crochet chain, and then here's our increase. We ended with those 2 double crochets. So that's how it's going to go on what I'm going to call row A for increasing. Every other row is just slightly different. Basically, it's the same all the way up until you get to the turning chain space. So in row A in the turning chain space, we're going to end it with 2 double crochets. In row B in the turning chain space, we're going to end it with just the 2 double crochets, not the double crochet chain and 2 double crochets. You'll see what I mean. So this is row A of the increase, and let's get to row B. So we start with chain 4, turn our work. We're going to do a double crochet followed by a chain in the first chain space right there. So yarn over, insert our hook into that space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There's the double crochet, and we need it to be followed by a chain, so there's the chain. We're going to do it again. Yarn over, insert our hook into the next chain space and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So there's the next double crochet. It needs to be followed by a chain. Okay, so that's the part that will repeat, and that will be the same on the whole scarf, whether we're increasing or decreasing stitches. The only time it's going to change is when you get to this last turning chain space. And then it's going to just depend on whether you're on row A or row B. And again, once the scarf really starts to take shape, that will be so clear to you, because one side is going to be flat and the other side is going to have a sharp angle. But we're not there yet. We're still in the early part of the process. So as with most processes, it's not always clear what's going on in the early stages. So just hang in here with me. So now we're in row B. And instead of doing another double crochet followed by a chain and the increase, we're just going to do 2 double crochets there. We need it to be, this will end up being the flat side. So just 2 double crochets in that turning chain space, the end. Okay, so chain 4, turn your work, and now it's time to do row A. So it's the same all the way across until we get to this last turning chain space, and you'll see. So start with a double crochet followed by a chain. Okay, then there's another space that's not the turning chain space, so we have to do another double crochet followed by a chain. Sorry, I had to pause and pull some yarn there. Okay, so now we're to the turning chain space, and because we're on row A, we need to do that increase. So we'll start it with another double crochet followed by a chain, and we'll end it with 2 double crochets back to back. Okay, so you can already see we're starting to get a little bit of that shape I described. On the B side over here, it's flat, and on the A side over here, it's angled. So it's starting to move into that triangle shape. All right, so let's keep going. So we've just finished row A, let's do row B. Chain 4, flip our work, insert our hook, we'll yarn over and then insert our hook into the first chain space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and chain 1. So double crochet plus chain 1. Now we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the next chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's the end of the double crochet, chain 1. Okay, so now we've reached our turning chain space and we're on row B, so it's just 2 double crochets. Okay, and again, see how nice and flat that looks and not angled like over here? That's how you know you're on row B. So now we chain 4, turn our work, and repeat row A. I'm going to do a couple more of these so you can really get the feel for it, and then I'm going to pause the video and let you work and work and work and work while also practicing your grounding. Okay, so we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 twice, now that we've got a double crochet, we need to do a chain. Okay. Do it again into the next chain space. And now we're into the turning chain space. And we're on the side A again because that's the sharp angle. So we're going to start it with a double crochet followed by a chain, and then end it with the 2 double crochets, which is the increase. You can really see that shape starting to come. I'm just holding it flat so that it doesn't walk off on me here, but flat side, angled side, B side, A side. We're gonna chain 4 and turn our work. So this is our first space here. So you'll always see that there's the 2 double crochets immediately next to your hook. So then you need to put your hook into the first space created after those 2 double crochets. Double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain. Ooh. Got ahead of myself there. Okay, so I did the double crochet, I need to do the chain. Now I'm into the turning chain space. Am I on side A or side B? Well, it's flat and straight, so I'm going to call that B. And that means I just need to do the 2 double crochets. At the end of the row, so I chain 4, or beginning of the row rather. This is very much a chicken and egg situation. Okay, turn your work and kind of take a look. I think I actually missed a stitch somewhere down here in the middle, but managed to make it still take the shape it needs to. So what you really should be seeing is, I think, 1 extra post prior to the turning chain space every row. So again, I'm going to take a second and just kind of connect with my work. This is a way, again, to not overthink it, not try to understand the mechanics of crochet too much. It really will just come to you as you repeat it over and over. That's how learning really works. So again, I feel the kind of coarse texture of the yarn, the sort of rubbery smooth texture of my needle here, and the cool flat surface, smooth surface of my desk. Noticing some of the different colors in my line of view here. So the orange, the gold, the gray, sort of a pinkish color, gold color over here on my pot. So again, just staying in my body, trying to stay out of my head. All right, so we're gonna keep going. Double crochet into the space, followed by a chain. Double crochet into the space, followed by a chain. Double crochet into the space, followed by a chain. Now I'm to the turning chain space, and I'm on row A, so I need to do a double crochet, followed by a chain, and 2 double crochets. Ooh. Okay, and then I'll chain 4 and turn my work. Okay, so I want you to repeat this until your project is about 33 inches long, or until you're halfway through your ball of yarn. Again, I'm using one of those cakes, and it's got about 6 colors, and so I'll go until I'm either 33 inches wide or until I'm completely finished with the 3rd color and getting ready to change to the 4th. So practice this for as long as it takes. If you get frustrated, don't feel too worried about that. If you need to frog, and rip out your yarn and start over, that's okay too. There's nothing you're doing here that can't be undone. So enjoy the process. Observe what it's like to learn a new skill. Observe what it's like as your hands get more and more used to the rhythm of the needle or the hook. And again, take time to check in with your body. So I'll see you back here after 33 inches or halfway through your yarn. Okay, so here we are, and we have made it to the midpoint of our project, and it's about time to start decreasing. So you can see here, this is not quite 33 inches, but like I said, it is the halfway point. My yarn is about to change colors here from gray to blue, which is the 4th color in my cake. So it means it's time to change. If you take a look here at my project, you'll see that we have this triangle shape kind of coming together. I may have to zoom out here for you a little bit. Yeah, so you can see here's our flat side, and then here's where it kind of comes out, where we did our decrease. Our increase. And you can also see that I kind of lost my place a couple of times here, right? Like here's a little imperfection, and it wants to kind of bow out a little, but that's okay. Because I think in general, our overall shape of our project is still going to be the same. So just want to remind you that even those of us who are pretty practiced can sometimes still make mistakes when we're, watching The Last Man on Earth and not paying close attention to what row we're on. But sometimes, it's all par for the course, I guess. So here we are. I'm about to show you how to do the decrease. Let me see if I can set my camera down without it falling over, because still working on getting the appropriate equipment set up. So same kind of story for our decrease. We're going to have a row A and a row B. I'm just going to kind of roll this up to get it out of our way while we're working. So for our row A on our decrease, we're going to introduce a new stitch for you, and that will end up being the probably most complicated stitch that you've done up to date if you are learning by watching my videos, which I'm sure there are a lot better introduction to crochet videos out there, but if you are watching my videos, I appreciate it, and let me know what else you'd like me to do. So we're gonna just keep doing the same thing across the row here that we have been doing. So we're doing a double crochet followed by a chain in every chain space that we created. And I love watching the color on these cakes gradually change. That nice ombre effect is just this is ridiculous. Ooh. Okay, so camera fell over because we still don't have our equipment. Amazon is not doing what it used to do, and I can't just go into any local store and get the equipment that I need anymore. So we're working with what we've got. So just doing a quick little row of double crochets followed by a chain. When we get to the last 2 spaces, we're going to pause and learn a new stitch. The stitch is going to be just a play on the double crochet, which by now you should be an expert at. almost there. Looks like I've got one more space before it's time to do our double crochet decrease. All right, so we're getting ready to decrease, which means we're going to take our triangle and it's going to come back. Okay, so currently, let's see, going this way now for the increase. We're going to have it turn and come back this way for the decrease, and that's going to make your triangle shape. The other side of the project is still going to be flat. So this side, you're still going to end up doing your 2 double crochets in the turning chain space, and that's all. So same thing on row B as you were doing in row B for the increase. The only thing we're changing is row A on the decrease. Okay, so we're going to learn the double crochet now. I'm going to see if I can get real close for you. So a double crochet together is going to be a double crochet in this space, but before you finish the double crochet, you're going to come over here and do another double crochet in this space. And when you finally finish, it's going to be 1 stitch on the top. So here we go. We're going to yarn over just like we normally would for a double crochet, insert our hook into the space and draw up a loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through the first 2 just like we normally would for a double crochet. But for the double crochet 2 together, over these 2 stitches, we need to yarn over again, insert our hook into the next space, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2, just like you normally would for a double crochet. And you can see here that you've created 2 posts, so each space is accounted for. But what we're about to do is to leave with 1 stitch at the top. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So again, we have 2 posts, but on the top we just have 1 stitch. So that's double crochet 2 together, and that is essentially equivalent to the decrease that we learned in the pre-video. So now we're going to chain 4 just like we have, because you are always going to chain 4 at the beginning of every round. And we're going to turn our work. Flip this to the underside there so it's out of our way. Okay. So we've reached the end of the next row and we're down to the last 2 spaces. Remember, this is row B, so the flat side, and you can kind of see here from the rest of the project, this is a pretty straight line. It's not angled like this side over here, which is where we're starting our decrease. So we're on our straight side or row B side, and that means we're not going to do anything different with the next to the last space. So that one gets the double crochet followed by the chain, just like the whole rest of the pattern. And in the last turning chain space there, we're just going to do 2 double crochets, just like we always have. Right? Chain 4, get ready to turn our work. Okay. So we've made it back to the end of row A. You can see here's where we came to a point on our increasing row, right here. And we've started to go back the other way for our decreasing row, so we know we're kind of making the right shape. It's time to do our double crochet together again. So this is the decrease, so we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the first chain space and draw up a loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2, just like we would on any normal double crochet. And we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into the next space, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2. Again, just like you would on a normal double crochet. Now that you've created your 2 new posts, you know you're ready to combine those into 1 double crochet together. So you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, 2 posts, 1 stitch. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I should just take out my hook. Let's try that little ditty again, right? 2 posts, 1 stitch. 2 posts, 1 stitch. Okay, so you're going to repeat this all the way into the end. So you should start to have a really defined, let's see, you should start to have a really defined triangle shape here. So it's coming to a point. It's going to come back all the way down this way. And it should end looking very much like it started, with this kind of shape in the last few colors. So again, I'm using one of those cakes. It makes it really easy for me to know where I'm starting and finishing. For you, if you're just using a big skein of yarn or maybe different colors of yarn, again, keep going until you're out of space. You can go as wide as you want, so you could increase all the way to the 33 inches or even wider if you wanted like a nice huge kind of blanket scarf, which again, this is supposed to be a springtime scarf, so I don't know why you would want that, but you know, to each their own, right? So you have a lot of ability to customize this into whatever you want, and hopefully by the end of this, you will feel like you really understand the double crochet and the chain. You may not feel like you have a super solid grasp of how increases and decreases work, because again, this is designed for this particular pattern, but you'll have a really good start. So I'm going to finish this scarf all the way up into the end, and I'll join you then. Okay, so it is time to see how our project turned out. I'm going to confess that I learned some real lessons here with this project. Number one is I need to do a better job of paying attention to what row I'm on when I'm crocheting and Netflixing at the same time. Number two is if the pattern says that this cake of yarn will make your widest point of your pattern go to 33 inches, then I should probably go to 33 inches because it turns out I had a lot of yarn left over by the time I made it to the end of the pattern. So here's what went wrong for me. Well, not wrong, but just not exactly as planned, right? So I wanted to start my decrease in a symmetrical way. Like I wanted there to be 3 colors on one side and 3 colors on the other side. And so that worked. I mean, I did make a triangle with 3 colors on each side, and I'll zoom out here for you to see that. So 3 colors there, 3 colors there, and the decrease starts exactly where one color ends and the other begins. So if you are somebody who is like, yes, I want a symmetrical pattern, then you'll make your decisions based on your colors, right? They'll sort of guide you. The effect of that is that our shawl here isn't as long as the one in the pattern. It still works, and I'll post a picture of me wearing it later once I've put some makeup on my face, because you know, it's really weird to post pictures of yourself on YouTube without with your like morning pajama look on, right? So anyway, we've made it to the end. We've got a nice, relatively symmetrical triangle shape here, and we were able to really practice the double crochet, the chain space, and then we learned how to do increasing and decreasing stitches. So again, because I was going for symmetry in my colors, I ended up with a whole lot of yarn left over. Something that you could do, which I might still do with this pattern, is to make little fringes. So there'd be fringes along the front of the triangle there, and so it would be kind of colorful. Or you could also make like pom-poms and hang from the end, depending on who this is for. You know, a whimsical person I think would love the pom-poms. I'm not sure that Jess at Make and Do Crew would be a fan of that on this particular scarf, because Again, she likes those muted colors and very clean looks. But again, you're able to make this whatever works for you. So this is your mindful experience, right? So whatever facilitates your sense of focus, your ability to find sort of your center, and get you, out of your head and into your body. So finished the springtime scarf using those stitches, and I hope that you enjoyed yourself. Even if you found it to be frustrating at times, like I did when I realized I was going to have way too much yarn left over, see if you can make meaning out of that, and see if there's either a lesson to be learned or a way of reframing that. So like I said, I think I'm going to add some fringe and just kind of make it my own pattern, even though it's not going to look exactly like the one on the original pattern. So thanks for joining me, and I hope that you will continue practicing your grounding techniques throughout the week. We'll see you soon.